So what is supposed to be the final film in the long-running Halloween franchise, appropriately titled Halloween Ends, is now out in the wild. I say it's supposed to be the final movie because, come on, it's a horror movie series, there will be another one eventually. Regardless, as a massive fan of this franchise, it is my favorite slasher series, I wanted to take the opportunity to talk about this latest entry. So join me as we look at what happened in the movie and what it all meant in the grand scheme of things. Beware of spoilers, obviously. Let's go ahead and dive right into it. So, okay, let's start this video out where you'd naturally expect it to, at the beginning. I'm not gonna go through the entire plot of the movie because if you're watching this, then I assume that you saw the whole thing already. But let's touch upon the highlights. First up, we were introduced to Corey, a younger man who stepped in to help babysit a young boy on Halloween night, while the parents went out to a party. As expected in a situation like this, the kid was a bit of a stinker, and he decided to play a trick on Corey, locking him in the attic. That didn't exactly end too well for the kid, as Corey kicked the attic door open, smacking him in the face and sending him falling 5 floors down, resulting in a very bloody first kill of the movie. Kinda bold of them to take out a kid in such a gruesome manner. Seriously, I gagged a little bit when I saw his body crumple like that, and the sound was just... ugh. Fast forward a few years later, and it would seem that Corey got off with a fairly light sentence, all things considered. But the town of Haddonfield wasn't exactly friendly to him afterwards. Except for Laurie Strode, because she's about as much of a bamf as one can possibly be. In fact, Laurie's granddaughter, Allison, quickly took a liking to young Corey. Probably due to the whole them having a traumatic past, you know, they kinda connect on that level. Even though they were both in very different situations. Sidebar, can we talk for a second about how crappy Allison's taste in men seems to be? In Halloween 2018, we met her high school beau, who was a cheating sleazeball. Then in this movie, we have Corey, who goes all murderous psychopath on us, and that one cop guy, who, while he doesn't do anything majorly crappy that we see, is still presented to us as a major dillweed. So, you know, that's 3 for 3 on the whole horrible exes thing, Allison. You sure can pick 'em. Oh, yeah, Corey turns out to be a psycho. After encountering Michael Myers in a storm drain and then having some kind of weird bonding moment with him. It was a bad tattoo away from being a Cult of the Thorn moment. Seriously, this is where the movie gets kinda bonkers, but not quite Halloween 4, 5, and 6 bonkers. From there, Corey winds up going on his own killing spree, taking out around 10 or so people on his own, with 1 assist from Michael in the case of that nurse. In fact, in this entire movie, Michael Myers only actually takes out about 3 people, out of over a dozen who don't live through this particular Halloween night. And this is something that some people who have seen the movie have been complaining about online. It's not really a traditional Halloween, and it's not really a slasher either. To be honest, that's kind of the point. What this movie is a story about trauma, and how sometimes that trauma, if untreated, can almost become worse than the events that caused it. It presents us with 3 main characters, each handling things in their own ways. Laurie has learned to accept what happened to her and has found a creative outlet to try to let go of her pain. Allison has pretty much just bottled things up, not really trying to openly address it. And then there's Corey, who has allowed his trauma to consume his entire life to the point that he has become bitter and angry at the world. And honestly, if any of that surprised you, you haven't really been paying attention throughout this trilogy. Halloween 2018 kills and ends are all about trauma. That's literally the focus of the entire story. Look at Kills, for example. On the surface, it's a kinda goofy movie about some people chanting slogans and chasing down a geriatric murderer. But if you dig a little deeper, you realize that the reason why the whole town is on board with the slogans and all that is because this is something they've thought about for years. Something they've rehearsed in their heads since they were young. This is an entire town dealing with a deep trauma. And that trauma causes some really evil things to occur. At the beginning of the movie, Laurie points out via voiceover that since Michael Myers came back in 2018, the worst has been brought out of people. Even those who never encountered Myers themselves wound up doing some pretty heinous things, such as unaliving themselves. Because Michael Myers didn't just scar Haddonfield, he left a gaping wound that never really healed. That is until the town all gathered at the end of this movie, and all watched as he was turned into a fine paste. Now the healing can begin, presumably. That was the entire point of these 3 movies. They weren't meant to retread old slasher tropes or really even build upon the mythology of Michael Myers. They were meant to show what happens to people when they live through something horrific. Meant to show that trauma, if untreated, can turn to evil. And that evil comes in all shapes and sizes, not just a dude in a mask. Corey was simply a vehicle for the pain the entire community felt. The one who we saw crack just enough that he became a new vessel for evil deeds. So to that end, Michael Myers didn't really matter. He could have not been in this movie at all, and really, the overall story wouldn't have changed. It's all about the people around Michael, the people who his actions had an effect on. And that is a good thing, if you ask me. Hey there everyone, I'm John Aljets. I made this video and I want to know what you think. Did you enjoy Halloween Ends? Let me know in the comments below or go ahead and shoot me a response over on Twitter. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching and be sure to subscribe to ScreenRant for even more spooky videos just like this in the future.